Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Ray Harari from Argentina Metals. You've just literally started trading on the TSX Venture. Tell us why you decided to take Argentina Metals public.
Hi, Tracy. Thank you so much for having me. Argentina Metals is a company focused in copper exploration in Mendoza, one of the least explored provinces in all of Argentina, with pretty much no exploration over the past few decades. We felt like having the company listed in a venue as reputable as the TSX Venture would give us much more global exposure, and we would start putting more eyes down in Mendoza, so people start caring a little bit about what we can find underground right next to Chile and right south of the province of San Juan, which has so many prolific deposits.
Well, I want to get to the projects, but let's start with you first. I tell everybody at Investor News all the time, start by doing your research on the CEO. Now, you have an incredible background as a financier and investment banker. You literally could do anything you wanted. What made you decide to become the CEO of a resource company in Argentina?
Sure. So I discovered the mining and resource world about 5 years ago. I found it to be a really fun place where you can really translate the genius from geologists into what financiers and investors are looking for. And I found that it wasn't that clear, given that I have a strong background and studied systems engineering. The technical piece for me is understandable. And I've been financing companies for over a decade now. So once I discovered sort of that nexus, it really drew me to it. And then sort of being Latin American and growing in Panama, working with a family business, across the whole continent, I've really worked with many people across the region. And I said, okay, let's find an underexplored, undertapped place in LATAM that we can focus on. And that's how we stumbled upon Mendoza, fell in love, and really decided to take it on this path.
Again, I recommend that you check out Ray's background. I think you'll be as impressed as I was. And of course, I just want to mention a conversation I had with an interview with Terry Lynch from Power Metallic yesterday. He was talking about everybody out there who's involved in investing in AI and technology should be looking at the critical mineral sector. And you're all about copper. Would you say that you agree with him?
I completely agree. I think the amount of copper we're going to have to mine over the next 10 or 20 years to satisfy the AI boom and the electrification sort of movement and electric vehicles and turbines and all of that is going to be unprecedented. If we don't start finding copper fast, we're going to run into some issues. And I don't think any of us want to give up our ChatGPT or Claude. So we better get to work.
So, we're planning on doing a CMI mastermind on this very topic of the expanding demands for AI and AI storage and how it's impacting the sector. And of course, you're all about copper and you have 26 projects. Is that correct?
That is correct. We felt that coming into a province that is so underexplored, you really need to go broad and wide. There's likely a porphyry somewhere in Mendoza. It's about finding it. But right now, given the lack of exploration in the province, you can really get projects for very, very cheap and reasonable prices. Our belief is that once a discovery is made, if it's made, hopefully, the prices are going to significantly soar. So our rationale was let's get it in there first. Let's capture as much land as we can, get it wholly owned. And I would say out of all 26 projects, none of them have any royalties, any back-end payments. We own 100% of the mineral rights in this project, which gives us maximum upside once something is discovered, hopefully.
So, you're very international. You're based in Panama. Can you tell me why you selected Argentina?
I would say the biggest driver for me for Argentina is by far President Javier Milei. President Milei was elected maybe 3 or 4 years ago. He's really brought in a radical ideal to the government, something that I think is common sense, which is fiscal responsibility. But it seems to not be so important for governments these days. But he really crushed down on spending, cut subsidies, and it had immediate impact, particularly on inflation. which he drove it down within a year from 25% month over month down to 2% month over month and made it a more stable country. He's passed a law called the RIGI, which is a regime for large investments to help companies get 30 years of certainty, security, stability. This was ratified by the Senate. So no matter who's in the executive branch, the RIGI will stand for 30 years. So he's bringing the stability that Argentina's always needed, and then coupled with the lack of exploration and mines that have been developed in Argentina. And to put that into perspective, Chile, that's Argentina's neighbor and shares a massive border along Argentina's western side. They produce about 5.3 million tons of copper back in 2025. Argentina produced zero. There's a massive gap for Argentina to really catch up with that copper production that Chile has been really the leader for decades. So combining a really strong political environment with a geological story that's really underexplored and that, I'm not a geo, but common sense tells you that, these deposits don't care about the political lines humans create. The likelihood that this crosses the Andes to the Argentinian side, in my opinion, is quite high.
Ray, thank you so much for your time today. For everybody interested in finding out more about Argentina metals, please go to the following website. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you, Tracy. Pleasure being here.